Hello, everybody, and welcome to the March 21st Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
We have 3 races to bring you this week, all maiden races, and we'll get started off with the 6th race from March 16th, this past Saturday, a maiden special weight for 3-year-olds going a mile.
Another horse from the Kieran McLaughlin barn that just needs to do a little growing up, and we actually saw it with the winner of this race, Incognito, took a few race to get his act together. But Gareb, a horse that you had liked here in this race, actually, I don't know that he ran a winning race, but he certainly ran a lot better than his finish suggested, Eric.
I think he has some talent. You know, like you said, he's very green. He's a horse that might need some blinkers. You know, ducked in at the start like he did in his prior start as well, and then gets out a little bit going into the first turn here in about the 4 path. He's really all over the track. He's outside, he's inside throughout most of the race. You know, he overreacts to anything the rider does throughout the race, so he just needs some education here, and I think he might be okay because he ran into a pretty good horse in this race, and he didn't have the easiest of setups here going wide around the first turn.
No, I totally agree. You break slowly, you're green early, you carry yourself wide. And listen, I'm not trying to knock K. Barcoa because I think overall he shows the signs that he could be a good rider going down the road, but he's also a relatively inexperienced rider as well. So inexperienced horse, inexperienced rider, a horse who's not doing what you really want him to do. He ends up wide in the backstretch, and Koa tries to settle him here. I think he wants to get him inside of horses, maybe to try to calm him down a little bit. And you'll see after this, he'll end up putting him inside of horses, and you're trying to educate him as well, and then he'll get a little rank.
Yeah, you might have been a little bit better off keeping him outside, because here is where he starts to get a little rank down inside. He's kind of resenting being, you know, in between the outside horse and the rail. Eventually, we'll go through there and make a good little rally here around the turn.
No, I thought he did make a very good run. And keep in mind, the winner's very good. The second horse had an absolutely perfect trip. Gareb had all that stuff happen to him, and he's just outside of this horse who's had a perfect trip and finishes second. And it almost feels like if Gareb was even more polished here, he might have gone by the second horse, but it's kind of like he just doesn't know what he's doing out there at this point.
He doesn't. Koa's hitting him right-handed here. He drifts in about 3 or 4 or 5 paths, just, you know, all to the greenness of this horse who is making his second career start. So you hope they figure out a little bit, maybe change some equipment around for his next start, because I think he actually ran well in spots in the race, just wasn't, you know, wasn't too effective throughout the entire running of the race.
And Artie Megnuson, who's the assistant to Kieran McLaughlin, has done a sensational job here this winter. I think he's had a number of horses like Gareb and even like the winner, Incognito, that came here, and they just weren't really mentally ready to be racehorses, and they have some talent, but you've got to mold them and make them better. And I think that that's probably better for them in some ways in the long run, these horses that flash brilliance, and then they get pushed along very quickly to the Triple Crown races. A horse like this, he's got all the time in the world. He's going to break his maiden the next time he runs. He's going to be a smarter horse, and he's going to go on. And I'm not saying he's going to win Grade 1 stakes, but I think this is a horse that may have a bit of a future, because Incognito's a horse they're pointing the Illinois Derby and hoping maybe they can get him into one of the later Triple Crown races. These horses are okay.
Yeah, no, I think they are as well. I think it was a strong maiden race, and you know, a race where I think both these Kieran horses will come out, and you know, we'll hear from them down the road for sure. Well, let's take a look now at a New York bred maiden special weight run on March 16th, the same day, Saturday. Race number 7, the very next race, a maiden special weight for 3-year-olds going 6.
We're going to focus on a kind of goofy horse, the 8 horse, a first-time starter. Here he fits for trainer John Hertler. Now, the reality is, and we'll babble through the race a little bit, you're really not going to see this horse until they come to head the wire again. And I just felt like in this race, this horse just maybe wasn't ready for his first start and kind of does his running when the race is over.
I agree, and I thought this was a good enough, strong enough maiden special weight race for New York breds for this time of year. The 10 horse, the second place finisher, Do I Amuse You, ran big first time out. The winner is a first-time starter here from the Eddie Keneally barn. Have been working out down at Palm Meadows, Billy the Bull. So I think this race is okay, and I think, you know, much like Gareb, if here he fits, is going to benefit from this race.
No, I agree. You know, I mean, overall, this is sort of fair for the quality of horses we've had. I agree. And the winner you'll see getting a perfect trip through on the rail. And I agree. Just think this horse, because we'll come to the top of the stretch, and here he is. Here he fits. I mean, he is way the heck out of the race. And, you know, his rider likes to stick horses on the rail and try to get lucky up. And then you could argue and say, well, yeah, he was just doing some meaningless riding in the stretches. The others were getting tired and he hadn't done any running earlier. And I'm not going to really argue with that. And I think it's a question of, you know, what you make of gallop outs. How meaningful are they? Because this is a horse that is really running after the wire.
Well, for a horse that you will not really see do much significant running during the race, I think the gallop out is meaningful, because I think he can improve second time out. We'll pause it right there as he just crosses the wire there. He crosses the wire in 6, beaten 6 1/4. But take a look, he's in the green, you know, down on the rail there, Andy, just circle him. He's going to come up the inside on a horse there and then come outside the eventual, or the winner of the race, Billy the Bull, and go by him to gallop out in front.
Yeah, it just felt like this horse had enough energy after the wire, and he continued on his run. It's not like the rider wasn't just, he was just sitting on him at that point. This feels like a horse that, a first-time star that you might want to follow down the road. He's not going to be a short price next time he runs. He was 35-1 in this race. It's not as though he has high-profile connections, but his trainer, John Hurtler, does a very good job. So it's not like they're low-profile connections that never win. John wins, and he wins at least his share, if not more than his share.
Oh, absolutely. Considering some of the stock that he has, he does an outstanding job.
Yes, he does.
No question about that. We'll go to a Sunday's race number 6 now. Take a look at Queen 9 in a $16,000 maiden claiming race for fillies and mares. We got to head on to the start to begin.
This is one of those very difficult decisions on what you do going further, because Queen 9, as you're going to see, breaks a little slow, bounces into the horse inside of her, outside of her, completely steadies out, and you're going to see it. You see exactly how it happened and why it happened in there, and then you're going to see the result of what happens in the pan shot, because you see her completely steady. The rider, after to take her out, takes her out of the race, and this is a horse that probably finds herself in the front. It doesn't happen. So she's up here, supposed to back there, through no energy expansion, and then she gets a nightmare trip after it. She was about a week the best in here, Eric.
I think you're being maybe underestimating a little bit. I might go for a month best in this spot here. Not on the screen yet, but you'll see
here she is.
There she goes on the outside, making that wide move down the backstretch.
Yeah, I mean, this is a heartbreaker for anyone to bet the horse and for trainer Mitch Friedman. Mitch Friedman tried to get her back to the race. It took a long time. This horse hadn't run since October, and she was ready and going to win this race. And I don't blame Kay Barkoa. I think she just did it to herself a little bit. I mean, it shows what happens. You come out of that gate and you don't get out there cleanly, and it can be a nightmare. And then I guess he panicked a little, maybe moved a little soon, but I'm not sure what else he could do here.
Yeah, the only other option I think for him is just to sit back and wait and to make a big late run, and perhaps he would have been second, but I don't know that he was going to beat the winner. Now the question with Queen 9, who looks like starting to tail off of that rally a little bit.
Well, I think the horse kept on running, all things considered. I mean, after what she had done, she could have dropped back into here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. But you got to take a look at the whole picture here. You got a horse that won the race and Still Shade of Me, who is pretty average. Not a strong field throughout.
She's well below average.
A horse that was ready to win first time off the layoff here for Mitch Friedman. Was 9-2 in this race. Considering the trouble that she had in this race, she's going to be half that price at best next time out.
Quarter of the price.
Quarter of the price, maybe even depending on the field. What do you do with her going forward?
I think she's probably going to win her next race against a similar company, but who cares? But it is a question, because she was ready to win this day. Is she going to be as ready in her next start? And it's a real question mark. It's kind of a missed opportunity. And this is something you encounter when you're playing the horses. What do you do with a horse like this that was ready to win off the layoff, that was going to win? I think in these cases it's a frustrating loss. The next time she runs, she's either they're going to move her up in class where she may not be good enough to win, even if she won this race by 4 or 5 lengths, which she should have, or she's going to be a very short price. And if you find somebody else that's kind of interesting, you can't be afraid. You missed your opportunity with her from a betting standpoint.
If you want to bet her back, maybe you're hoping they can find a $25,000 or $35,000.
And she's better than?
Like that.
Maybe. We'll see. This wasn't a strong field. Regardless, 3 races this week. We can always use your help as Trips and Traps moves forward. Trips and Traps at NYRAInc.com.
Thanks for watching.